Are we holding? I'm holding.
Why don't you do a little dance over there?
Yeah. We're good? Alright. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Brett.
And I'm Noah.
And we have a production company called REELS. We specialize in short form narrative content. We've been going for the last almost 3 years in February now. We've created about 1,000 plus narrative scenes for actors and producers. And
right, we specialize in that short form narrative content, and it's all kind of standalone scenes that our clients will come in and have us produce something, and they have maybe a discombobulated vision, they don't quite know what they want, and they come to us and we break that down for them and turn that into a story they can walk away with.
Great storytelling. And besides that, we've done numerous music videos, short films. We're currently in post-production on our first feature film, which has been a 3-year process and been absolutely amazing. And we've been in the virtual reality space with our own gear for about 4 months now. We did hear about virtual reality about 2 years ago at the Directors Guild I know they had mentioned Defrost, which is created by Randall Kleiser. And he's the one who kind of mentored us into virtual reality. But he's creating the virtual reality series Defrost right now, which is actually going to like the new media area in Sundance. So he's on the frontier with that. I mean, these guys are on the frontier, and kind of everyone in this room right now is very much on the frontier of virtual reality. We need to do another thing or the other thing.
You got the thing.
Okay. So I mean, the reality is right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're in a new age of storytelling, and it's so exciting to have this new tool in the filmmakers and the storytellers tool belt, virtual reality, where we can fully immerse our audience, and you all know that's why you're here. But it's changing the game in so many ways because we're able to actually bring our audience to a place almost like they're teleporting there, and we haven't been able to do this ever, and it's just such a cool experience to be involved in this, and at the same time, it's introducing a lot of new challenges, and we're figuring out how to use this tool.
And not just us, but everybody. I mean, even you have the main players like Nokia. I mean, they're still figuring out how to have create good narrative content, and like everyone keeps repeating, we recently were also at the unveiling of the Ozone. And reality is, we looked at it, once they said $60,000, we kind of lost all interest because the content that they're creating is almost on the same level of the content that we're creating on our GoPro rig. Right now we're running with a 7-camera GoPro rig, and then we also have our Theta right there. But the reality is, where we are right now is everyone's trying to figure out the best, how to make the best storytelling elements. And we're specifically going to talk to you about narrative filmmaking. Before we step into that, I just want to kind of go over just some specs with why it is great to get into VR right now. One, it's a very unsaturated market, especially for great content. So you guys right now getting into it, it's very smart. I mean, you have big guys like Facebook investing $2 billion into VR and Oculus. You have Microsoft, you have Vive, you have all these other VR companies, and there's a lot going into it and a lot of heavy hitters. And they're all kind of seeking the same thing, and that's what we're kind of all doing, is creating great content, especially narrative content, and that's what we're going to touch on.
Right, and I think there's also a huge budget out there. A lot of the major companies are allocating funds to this, even though they don't exactly know what their role is going to be yet. But funds are out there to tell these stories, so let's dive into it.
Yeah. So now, us as storytellers and filmmakers, we've gone from cave paintings on the wall to live theater, and then of course the moving picture, which now we're enhancing the moving picture, and we're bringing it into basically living and being totally immersed in the entire world of it all. So really, what do all these great media contents have in common? One, it always falls down to your story, your script. Anything that's worthwhile, worth the replay, or worth watching has always started with a phenomenal story and script.
Right, so what makes a good story? It's really something that can engage your audience, hold their attention, and make them feel as if they're invested in knowing what the outcome is going to be. I mean, that's in a nutshell.
so we have with the thousand plus narrative scenes that we produce for our clients, we've created our own system, and maybe you guys can take whatever you want to take away from this, but we've kind of created our own consultation, our own system on to quickly create and categorize our narrative storytelling so we can simplify it for ourselves.
Right. We don't have a lot of our clients don't have the luxury of having like 2 years to really get in there and perfect a script to go work with maybe a focus group to find out what the best way to tell the story is going to be. So our clients come to us and they've got a very vague idea or something like, I want to tell a good drama. And then we have to take their very vague idea and we put it through a series of filters. We have 7 questions that we use to really just get what their vision is. And we break that down. And it's something that we've created that really just kind of lets us have a concrete idea of what this vision is going to be and how we're going to tell it. So let's dive into these 7 questions. The first question we ask is, what is the genre?
And I mean, you can think about that as, we have everything up there, action, horror, comedy, drama, science fiction, fantasy, it goes on. But really knowing that to start really just gives you the world and gives you the idea. And going from that, where can we find our inspiration? What is our setting?
Right, and 'cause a lot of times you can look at existing media and really pull from them at some ideas about what the tone of the piece is going to be. Like if you're doing a political series, you can look at House of Cards for how they set up something, or existing shows. If you're doing a fantasy, you might want to go with
Game of Thrones, and especially because we're filmmakers, and VR, we're filmmakers. And so it's a collaborative art form. No matter what art form you are in it, from the writing to the production to the post-production to the pre-production to everything, it's all collaborative. So when you're storytelling and when you're creating story together, if you have an idea that you're both on the same page with and relating to immediately, you can bounce things off of each other and already be thinking in the same world.
Right. Don't forget to look at existing media that's out there that's doing stuff right. Look at the examples of the classics to find storytelling ideas that you can use as a launching pad, as an inspiration to fit within your story.
So the next important thing, obviously, once we get the inspiration and the idea and the genre, who are characters? Who are we following in the story? What points and who are these people? Why are they important to us?
Right. This is going to really help you identify with the people in your story and make sure that you don't get lost. And you can start to sort of have a clear identification with the people that are in this world that you're creating.
And at this point too, throughout your entire writing and creation process, you may have characters that appear, as you write and as you grow. But who are your main people right now? And when writing and when creating, throw everything on the wall. Just throw it all out there. That you can't put any bad ideas out there. It's better to get something out than to hold it in and forget about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next thing we're going to ask is, what's the scenario? What's the setting? Where is this taking place? Is it a zombie apocalypse and people are coming out from the grave to eat us? Is it
video game high school? Yeah. Is it in a classroom setting?
Right.
So really, and you can kind of do this per scene, or if you're starting with an idea, you can kind of do this for one place at a time. And this entire sequence, it doesn't, it's not going to overcome your entire, if you're writing a feature film, your entire feature film, but you can do it in pieces, and this is kind of just to help you create those pieces.
Just going back to that, for the setting and scenario, I think that's actually really critical in the VR world because the location has such a dynamic impact in the viewer's experience because you're basically teleporting to a place. So really take some time to think about where you're going to tell your story.
Yeah, and strategically, when you're thinking on location, especially in the VR world, and when you're thinking about all these elements as a VR filmmaker, think about them, as Vanishing Media was saying, really think about when you write your media and create it, really think about the format that you're portraying it in. So scenario-wise, you can either pick a beautiful location, something visually stunning for our viewers in VR, or something strategic that works for the action that's happening in the scenario or our characters.
Right. All right. So next thing we're gonna ask, this is when we start to really get into like